I am in Fort-de-France, Martinique today. I've been walking about 10 minutes, almost 11 minutes from the ship. My ship is docked out at the Tourelles cruise terminal, so not the one in downtown, but a bit out of town. I was told it takes about 20 minutes to walk to downtown, but I believe here behind me, this where the tarp is, this is actually Parc la Savane, and a lot of the main attractions in town are right on this park, so I could see the library at the far end. So I stopped here. I'm gonna cut into town and go check out the library and then the church and then back to the fort. So again, it only took me about 11 minutes to walk here. I might take others, 15-20 minutes depending on your abilities. Taxis here into downtown, so from out at Tourelles cruise terminal into downtown, they told me this morning 10 euros for up to 4 people in a taxi. If you don't have any euros, it is $12 US. Again, up to 4 people. So if you take 4 people with you, just $3 a person to come into town. So pretty inexpensive. It's a pretty easy walk. There's a line painted on the sidewalk that you follow to see some of the top attractions in town. But if you're not interested in making that walk, also it's really hot. So if you would rather just take a quick taxi ride, it would just be a few minutes ride. $12 US for up to 4 people in your taxi. So behind me is the library I was mentioning. It's called Biblioteque Schoelcher. You can see really interesting architecture, really easy to find in town as well. That yellow and pink really stands out. But this building was actually built in Paris as part of an exposition. Then it was disassembled, shipped over here to Martinique, and then built here on this spot. So let's go see what's inside. Once you're inside, to be honest, not a lot to see except for the incredible architecture. So this is more of just a quick stop. I had read that there was some artwork on display. Didn't really see much of that. It does look like it's under construction right now. This is 2024, but a really beautiful building. And you can tell the interesting architecture from the outside, even more so when you're on the inside. So especially if you're walking into town, this is well worth a stop. Plus it just rained on my walk into town, so it's a perfect place to hide out from the rain and explore a little bit. A really gorgeous building with some fascinating history. That park I mentioned earlier, Parc la Savane. Part of it is under construction, off limits, but there is a lot of open green space here as well. There's also all these food kiosks. Right now they're closed, but it is before 11 o'clock in the morning, so maybe more will open up. Looks like the coffee shop is open now, but that's about it. So there is this park that you can enjoy. This is right on the edge of town, so you're very near all of the attractions when you are here as well. There are a few signages around, but almost everything is in French. That's something important to know if you are taking a cruise to Martinique or you are visiting Martinique, is that this is unlike a lot of islands in the Caribbean. A lot less English is spoken here than in other places. Same with currency. Here the official currency is the euro. A few places will take US dollars, but you're going to find it not as widely accepted as everywhere else. So if you can, bring some euros with you, or head to an ATM in town to change those euros, or make sure you've got a credit card that doesn't charge a foreign transaction fee. So a credit card that you can use in other places and the company's not going to charge you more. Something like the Capital One Venture X, it's one of my favorite cards. That's a great option for you to use down here. But of course, not every place takes credit card. Some places take US dollars, but charge you a fee that's not so great. For example, I mentioned earlier the taxis, 10 euros. 10 euros would be less than $10.25 US, but if you want to pay in US, they're going to charge you $12. So the exchange rate is definitely not as good here. So either bring some euros or, like I said, have that credit card option available. If you do bring US dollars, just make sure you've got some small bills. Also make sure they're nice bills, not all wrinkled, not torn, no writing on them. You want to have some nice US bills if you're going to try to use them here. But don't be surprised if the place where you are, they say, nope, sorry, no US bills for us. So we just saw the library. It is actually right over there at the corner of the park. You can see it through the trees. You can see the red roof there. And now we're going to check out the church, the Cathedral St. Louis. Let's see if you can see the steeple back there, the big iron steeple sticking up. It's known as the Iron Cathedral here in the Caribbean, and it's for good reason. So let's go find out why. This is Cathedral St. Louis, again known as the Iron Cathedral. I think you can see why now. You see that iron steeple up top. There's a little courtyard out front here, but let's go inside and have a look at the Iron Cathedral in Fort-de-France, Martinique. All of the dark colors that you see on the outside of the building looks blue. That is all iron. Same on the inside where it's dark. It's iron. You can see all those iron support beams. It's said to be the custom architecture during the Industrial Revolution. You would customarily see it around that time. So a really unique church to check out. Beautiful stained glass windows as well. And of course, everything inside is in French. Center is on Rue Victor Hugo. It's right here. It's actually, if you're across the street, it's a blue building. It says visitor information, so pretty easy to find. If you're having a hard time finding it, it is right down the street from McDonald's. Yep, McDonald's is right down there. So it's McDonald's on the one side, and then the cathedral that we just visited is right back there. So just about a block away from the cathedral. Again, Rue Victor Hugo, and then this blue building is the Visitor Information Center. There was a Visitor Info Center at the pier, at the Tourelles pier, out where I'm docked today, but they weren't open early in the morning. They were open when I came off the ship around 10:30, but if you were one of the first ones off, they weren't open, so you would be coming here. Outside, they've got information as well, so if you didn't want to go inside, you can just always snap a picture of that map, have the map in your pocket, or if you have questions, you can head inside to ask those questions. So again, look for the cathedral, look for McDonald's. If you're trying to find the Visitor Information Center, both of those will get you pretty close. This is the other cruise ship pier available in Martinique, in Fort-de-France. This one I believe is called Point Simon, Port Simon, something similar to that. So it is right in downtown. It's got a long pier though. You come off, you see their long pier connects it to the shore, and then you come off and you are just right on the edge of downtown. A lot more facilities here as well, a lot more shopping. There's a few shops out where I am at Tourelles, but there's some eateries here as well. They also have that colored line on the ground that I was mentioning before, such as this. So you can follow that into downtown. Then after you leave the pier, you turn right, start heading to the right, and there are these smaller piers that come out into the water. And then some of these are water taxi piers. They don't take you to another island, they just take you across the bay and get you closer to some beaches. So some small towns over there, some beaches over there, a lot of shopping here. There's more buildings here where you can shop. Yeah, and then you can see the sign here, welcome to Martinique, ferry to the beach. So if you are looking to go to the beach in Martinique, this is one of the ways to do it. Take a ferry over there. Should be less than 10 euros per person to get there. You would just check in. It says where the different ones are going. Just let them know. There used to be a schedule here, but not at the moment. Maybe eventually. And I don't know if you can see it in the distance, but down there is the cathedral where we were. And then there's the McDonald's. So right behind the McDonald's is the Visitor Information Center. So kind of all on that same street. It's the exit to Point Simon, plus the water taxi pier, plus the cathedral, plus the McDonald's, plus the visitor center. So all very easy within walking distance when you are at Point Simon. And over there in the distance is the fort. That's where we are headed next, and that is on the way back to the ship if you are out at the Tourelles terminal. So I did pop into the visitor center, picked up a map. It's actually the same exact map that's on the wall, so you could just snap a picture of it with your phone. Especially good to know if the visitor center is not open. Just snap a picture. It's the same map that they have available for you. But I did want to just talk a little bit about Martinique. I've already covered some of it, but just some good things to know. This is a lot different from other Caribbean islands. A lot of islands you will hear English as the predominant language, whether or not it's the official language. Here though, a lot of what you will hear is French, and a lot of the signs are also in French. So I recommend downloading Google Translate, or if you are an Apple user, you already have an app called Translate on your device. But before you leave home, download French to your device in one of those apps. You can type in something and translate it to French. You can also use the camera on your device, point it at a sign, point it at a menu, and translate it into your preferred language. Same goes with currency. There are currency converter apps that you can use, so you know what you would be paying the equivalent of. If you see the price listed in euro, you'll be able to know what it would be in US dollars. Or, like I said, bring along a credit card that doesn't charge a foreign transaction fee, but still good to know, I guess, what you are paying. So I mentioned the Capital One Venture X is a good one. The American Express Platinum card. There's a number of them that don't charge a fee. So just have a look before you leave home what your cards are. Give the bank a call if you don't know to find out whether or not they charge one. Very walkable port, especially if you are docked. That's again the downtown one there, Port Simon. If you are out at the other one, Tourelles, like I said, about a 15-minute walk to some of the first attractions in town. Probably about 20 minutes to get you all the way into town. That park that you see across the street there behind me, that greenery, that's the same park, La Savane Park, that I mentioned before. Now we're right next to the fort here. Right next to the fort there is this little beach here next to the fort called La Francaise beach. It's a public beach, it's a free beach. No facilities here. They do have freshwater showers, but no restrooms, no chairs for rent. You can just throw your towel down in the sand and hop in the water. So especially nice if you were walking around town. Really hot day today, it's about 87 degrees Fahrenheit, so then you could just have a quick swim on your way back to the ship, as it's very convenient right here. Now this is the Fort St. Louis on the edge of downtown. As you can see, they are flying the French flag. Actually, fun little fact about Martinique. Well, whenever cruise ships go to any port, they have to fly the flag of the place they are visiting on board. It's a courtesy flag. Ships always fly it, and here in Martinique they've requested that you actually fly the French mainland flag, so the flag of France, not the flag of Martinique. That's how close the relationship is with Martinique and France, so that's why you can expect to hear French, you can expect to use euros. Makes a lot of sense. Just definitely something good to know before you start your trip, because it catches a lot of people off guard if they're not familiar with that. But really beautiful place, really easy to walk around. It's been a great day so far. Let's come have a look at the fort too. I'm just outside Fort St. Louis right now. This is the entrance, but if you want to visit this, you've got to get tickets at that visitor center that I was mentioning before, the one that's at 29 Victor Hugo Street, right behind the McDonald's, very near the church. You have to get tickets there. They actually have a sign posted outside that says that, in case you aren't familiar. And then they also give the times that the tours are. So for example, today there was one at 10, one at noon, and one at 3 p.m. So you can come to the fort first, see what the times are, decide if you want to do it. Then you've got to go back and buy your tickets at the visitor center. So you can't just buy them on scene here. The only way you can get into the fort is on an organized tour. So that's where you want to go, is to the visitor center to check that out. And then you can come in and have a tour of the fort. Part of it's a historic fort, part of it is a current Navy base. Obviously you can only tour the historic part and not the Navy base part. So just past the end of the fort, where we started is just up ahead. I can see it right there at the end of the park, La Savane. I can also see the ship in the distance, so less than a 15-minute walk from here back to where the adventure started. All told, I've been outside. By the time I get back, it'll be about an hour and a half, included a visit to the library, a visit to the church, and that stop by the Visitor Information Center. Obviously, you could spend the whole day. You could tour the fort, you could take the water taxis, but definitely enough time to check out downtown if you are on a tour where you are headed elsewhere and then come back. In a couple hours you can see a lot of the main sites. It's a very nice, easy, walkable downtown port. So if you do come to Martinique, congrats. It's a place that I hadn't been. I've cruised all around the Caribbean, been to what I thought were most of the islands, but definitely fun to come check out at a new place in a really beautiful island, really beautiful town of Fort-de-France, Martinique.